The new job search opportunity card, or aka Chancenkarte, will launch in June of 2024. In this video, we will talk into detail what the Chancenkarte is, how to apply for it, how much it costs, and all the nitty-gritty so you can prepare best in case you're interested in getting such a visa to move to Germany.
This video is jam-packed with information. We created different chapters that you can find in the description below if you'd like to skip one or jump ahead or go back or however you'd like to review this video. Please also bear in mind that we are not immigration lawyers. We did our best research. I did read the law several times for this video. However, each case may be individual and you should always review your own case.
Hey, my name is Jen and I'm from Guatemala.
And mine is Yvonne and I'm German.
And together we're from simplegermany.com, where we create English content to empower internationals to settle into life in Germany more smoothly. Let's dive right into it. What is the new Chancenkarte?
It is a one-year visa that allows you to move to Germany without a job with the goal to find full-time employment. So it is the new version of a job seeker's visa. It is available for all non-EU citizens, and there are a few highlights in contrast to the current job seeker's visa. Those are that you are allowed to work part-time up to 20 hours a week for pay, of course, while searching for a job.
Wow, that is a big difference.
That is a massive difference.
With the job seeker's visa, you were not able to work while you were looking for a job.
Correct.
I could imagine this is a case like you move here, you find a mini job, maybe working at a local shop or something that pays you part-time, so you can get an income as you're looking for a full-time job in maybe a more corporate environment or something like that.
Yeah, and when qualifying for the visa, your experience matters more than your academic history. And also there is this new introduction of a point system that everyone has been rambling about a lot, which we will of course dive into detail later on in the video. Now the big question of course is, when is the Chancenkarte being launched?
According to the German government, the planned release date is for June 2024. We suspect it may be even as near as the 1st of June of 2024. However, we need to wait and see. We're launching this video now so you can gather all the information and hopefully all your documents so when the time comes, you're ready to apply. Bear in mind that the law has not yet come into effect, so there's still a possibility for small changes to happen. So like Yvonne mentioned at the beginning of the video, it is always advisable that you consult your local embassy or authority when it's time for you to apply to make sure that you have all your documents accordingly. So now, what are the requirements to apply to the opportunity card in Germany?
To qualify for the Chancenkarte, there are two different paths. I would like to distinguish them because media focuses only on the second path. However, there is one more path that is the same as currently for the job seeker's visa, and that is to simply have your qualification, so either your university degree or your vocational training, fully recognized by the German government. Now, as we know, this recognition process is usually very lengthy in time. However, if you already have your recognition or if you're in the process to get it and you are fully recognized in your qualifications, you immediately automatically qualify to apply for the Chancenkarte. No other requirements needed. So all the future talk that we're giving you with other points and stuff doesn't apply to you as long as your qualifications are fully recognized. Now for the recognition, we will leave a link in the description below for the website of the German government to see what steps are necessary and to see how far your qualifications get you. There's also a lot of talk always, of course, about the Anabin database. So all of that is still in place, and it is the quick path to the Chancenkarte if it's easy for you to reach recognition.
Yeah, and also quick, I think it's relative because I don't know if you mentioned this already, but I would like to emphasize on it that getting your certificate recognized by the German government might take a few months or maybe even a year or so.
It depends on your qualifications,
yeah.
Right? Yes.
So it is quick in the sense that you just need to do that. However, time-wise might not be super quick.
Correct, yes. Now the second path is the interesting one because it's the new path, and that is pretty much qualifying for this visa without having recognition for your qualifications. However, in order to get there, there are three basic requirements that you need to fulfill. Only once you fulfill those three basic requirements, that's when we can start counting points according to the point system. The first requirement is that you do need a professional qualification. This could either be a university diploma recognized by the issuing country. I'm not saying home country because you could also have studied elsewhere from your home country, but outside of Germany, right? It could also be a completed vocational training with at least 2 years of training recognized by the issuing country. Or it could be a vocational qualification issued by a German Chamber of Commerce abroad.
So let's say I am 18 and I just finished high school. That means I technically cannot apply, right?
Correct, yes, because you don't have a further qualification yet.
The second basic requirement has to do with language skills. Now, the interesting part here is that there's two language skills that you could have. It's an either or. So either you have a minimum of A1 German with an official certificate by an official institution that says that you have completed your A1 course, or, which is super interesting, a minimum B2 English. Again, with a certificate that certifies that you can speak B2 level English. That is super interesting because it's no longer just a German requirement. You could have either or. Again, this is a basic requirement to even start accumulating points to be able to apply to the Chancenkarte.
Meaning if you would have 0 German and only B1 English, you don't even fulfill the requirements, so you can't start collecting points. And the third basic requirement is to have enough financial means to support yourself while you're in Germany searching for a full-time job. And this is no news. This is, of course, always the case because the German government doesn't want anyone to come into the country who then doesn't have enough financial means to even cover their basic living costs. How you can fulfill those financial means we will discuss later on in the video.
Now for the juicy part. Now, if you have fulfilled the 3 basic requirements, then you can start collecting points. And now the question is, how does the pointing system for the Chancenkarte work? There are 4 main categories where you can collect points. Number 1 is education and work experience. Number 2 is language skills. Number 3 is your age. And number 4 is your previous ties to Germany.
Depending on the category, you can receive 1 to 4 points depending on your skill level. It's important to point out, to qualify, you need to reach minimum of 6 points. It doesn't really matter where those points are coming from, meaning you don't need to get 1 from each category, as long as, like we said before, you still fulfill the 3 basic requirements.
Let's start with education and work experience.
In this category, there's 4 different criteria to fulfill. The first one that awards you the most points, with 4 points, is if you have a diploma or vocational qualifications that are partially recognized by the German government. Now let's retrack. We said in the beginning, if your degree or your qualifications are fully recognized, you don't even need to collect points. That qualifies as 6 points. However, if you only have partial recognition, which is quite likely, you get 4 points. If you want to skip the whole part of looking for recognition altogether, this is where the juicy part happens, because you get awarded 3 points if you have 5+ years of work experience in the past 7 years in your qualified field, meaning in the same field that you have your qualifications in. No recognition needed, just the work experience in your field. If you only have 2+ years of work experience in the past 5 years in your qualified field, you get 2 points. And you get 1 additional point on top of either of those categories if your vocational training is in one of Germany's bottleneck professions. There are certain areas like education, nursing, or other health professions, but also crafts and construction professions, but of course also the IT and MINT industries where Germany needs even more employees than in other areas. And those are called bottleneck professions. We will leave a link of the official list from the German government in the description below as well.
Now, to try to make this as clear as possible, I would like to use my life as an example. So I studied hotel and restaurant management. I never worked in that industry. I dabbled around in customer service, IT support, and all kinds of different jobs. I did a 6-month training for learning how to code, which was an online boot camp, and I worked as a developer for a few years. So alone, I could not even apply because I don't have the basic requirements, because one of the basic requirements is to have a 2-year vocational training. So my university degree was more than 2 years. However, my boot camp was 6 months. And the work experience that I had, which was a developer, was for multiple years. However, I don't have the 2-year vocational training. So in my life, I would not be able to apply for the Chancenkarte because I don't fulfill not even the basic requirements.
Correct.
Next, we're going to talk about the language skills and how you can collect points according to the language that you speak. We're going to show again the table, and here you get 3 points if your German level is B2 and above. You get 2 points if your German level is B1. You get 1 point if your German level is between A1 and A2, so it could be A1.1 or A2. And you get an additional point if your English level is C1 and above. To prove your language skills, you will need an official certificate from a language school. That is very important to point out. In the case of English, I think there's the most popular ones are, you just mentioned them?
Well, I've worked previously at English language schools, so the three most recognized across the world are the TOEFL, IELTS, or Cambridge certificate. Again, I'm not an immigration lawyer here, but in my opinion, those should definitely suffice. And the third category is your age. You can get 2 points if you're younger than 35 years, and you get 1 point if you're between 35 and 40 years. Now, very important, if you're above 40, it doesn't mean that you don't qualify for the Chancenkarte. It just means you don't get a point in this category. So there is no age discrimination in terms of exclusion. It's more the younger you are, the more points you collect, because of course, the idea of the whole visa is for you to come to Germany and build your life here and stay for long term.
Next point is previous ties to Germany. Now you get 1 point if in the past 5 years you've stayed for at least 6 months legally in Germany.
At 1 point, a stretch of 6 months, not accumulated 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, 2 weeks there. And very important, as a non-touristic visit. So it needs to be a 6-month stay, for example, because you visited a language school, because you did an internship, because you studied here, because you did any other qualification certificate course. So anything that allowed you legally to stay 6 months or longer in the past 5 years that is not touristic. And then there's one extra category which gets you an additional point, and that is if you are married or in a civil union partnership and your spouse also fulfills all the requirements for the Chancenkarte and will apply together with you, meaning you apply as a couple. That is an additional point for the German government because it is, of course, one more potential skilled worker that enters the country. Now, of course, this is all easier to understand and grasp if we also understand the intention from the government behind it. Germany lacks skilled workers. That is no news, and that is crystal clear. And this is a way to attract skilled workers from the world to come to Germany and again, ideally build their life here and not just come for a 2-year stint. That is what is wished for by the government. And that's why these different categories and criteria kind of like also lead you in that direction. Because they think if you've got previous ties with Germany, you're more likely to stay and build a life, for example.
If you would like to calculate the points you currently have, you can do so through a calculator. We leave a calculator link in the description box below. It's from chancenkarte.com. Disclaimer, this is not an official governmental website, even though it looks super official. It's just a website that provides very helpful content regarding this topic, including the calculator. If you're finding the content of this video helpful, then please like this video and consider subscribing to our channel. And if you want to go the extra mile to support Simple Germany, you can always buy us a virtual coffee at simplegermany.com/coffee. Thank you for your support.
Now, what documents do you need to apply for the Chancenkarte? We cannot give you a complete list because it depends on your individual circumstances, but documents you should consider are pretty much anything that supports your case, that supports the criteria where you're collecting points. Those could be language certificates, definitely needed, professional qualification certificates, your job certification to prove your work experience, so letters of recommendation, for example, proof of your non-touristic stays in Germany, your visa, or again, like a letter of recommendation from the internship or a language course certificate or anything that proves your stay in Germany. If you're married, of course, your marriage certificate, and most important, you need a valid passport. So if you don't have one yet and you want to apply for this visa, you can use the next month to get yours. And some also say that you might need a German CV, like a Lebenslauf, to portray your career and again your qualifications and your work experience. If this is a requirement for you, we have a very clean and simple German CV like Lebenslauf in the German language in our online shop that you can purchase if you'd like to save that time. It is made for the German citizenship application. However, the bureaucratic steps to apply for a visa are pretty similar, so it should also work for that.
We also suspect that if your documents are not in German, you will need to translate them officially into German. If you would like to try out a service that is digital and online and to avoid the hassle of looking for official translators, you can check out LingoKing, which is pretty much what I just described, a service online that you can send documents and they can officially translate them, and it's recognized by the German government. So they're like official German translators. We'll leave that link from LingoKing in the description box below if you're interested in it as well.
And last but not least, you will most likely need a passport photo as you would for any other visa as well.
Now, what are the costs for applying for a Chancenkarte in Germany?
The exact cost for the application fee is yet to be announced because it's not in effect yet. However, we would like to think that it will have the same cost as any other visa that you need to apply for Germany, and that costs 75 euros. So it should be in the same realm. Of course, you need to consider, as Jen just mentioned, costs for translations, and that is really, we cannot estimate. It highly depends on your documents. And more importantly, you need the proof of funds. So your financial stability to actually spend a year in Germany looking for a job. And for that, there's two different paths. There is the traditional path, which also applies currently for students and for the job seekers visa, which is through a blocked account. That pretty much means you have a sum of money. In 2024, it is 11,208 euros required by the German government that you wire into a blocked account, which is only accessible by you once you are in the country. And then you can withdraw 937 euros per month to cover your living expenses here. That is the estimated minimum cost of living that you will have by the German government. Now, this is of course a big chunk of money that you need to have upfront, but this is the easiest, most hassle-free path. If you are interested in a blocked account, we will leave another link in the description below to our guide where we review 3 official providers of blocked accounts in Germany.
The second way is to prove that you already have a part-time job in Germany. Part-time job in Germany is called Teilzeit.
As we said in the beginning of the video, one highlight of the Chancenkarte is that you are allowed to work up to 20 hours per week, which is a part-time job. And if you do work those 20 hours per week, if we calculate that times the minimum wage, which is currently 12.41 euros per hour, you'd be earning around 1,000 euros gross a month, which equals 12,000 euros a year, which is pretty much the same amount as for a blocked account. Meaning, by having such a part-time job before applying for the visa, you can also prove your funds.
Now, this could be any job, really. It doesn't really matter where, as long as it's part-time. Meaning you could work at a hotel, at a restaurant, at an office job that is part-time, delivering newspapers, pretty much anything that you can get your hands on that gives you those 20 hours per week. In this case, the better your German language skills, the higher the chance is for you to get such a job. I would also argue that maybe finding these part-time jobs as it stands now that we're recording, it's very hard because usually a lot of these local companies, they put their ads on their windows. So A, you kind of need to be here to see the ads. And B, I think a lot of them prefer already personal applications and not very online. However, we know from this website that we mentioned before, Chancenkarte.com, that they're working on a job portal where they will be able to provide jobs that are part-time and fulfill their requirements to be able to match people that are looking to apply for the Chancenkarte with a part-time job, and hopefully it's a match made in heaven.
Now, the big question, how to apply for the Chancenkarte. And there's pretty much 2 possibilities. If you're still abroad, you have to apply with your local mission or German embassy or consulate, whichever you have. And if you're already in Germany, because maybe you are from one of the countries where you can enter for 90 days without a visa, then of course you need to apply with your local foreign immigration office, aka Ausländerbehörde. How the application process will look like exactly is still unclear. We like to think and hope that it will be a digital application, similar as it's now being implemented also with the blue card, but that is just our hopes. We will have to wait and see.
Now, we would like to break a myth because we've seen a lot of chatter online asking the question, will the Chancenkarte have a limited number given per year? And
Correct.
The answer is no.
The answer is not that we are aware of. There is no official source stating that. But there's also no official source stating the opposite. So I believe is really just an internet rumor, maybe because in other countries this has been the case. However, to our research, no limitation has been officially announced, which also would be counterintuitive, like counter the point of the whole thing, because Germany wants skilled workers. Why limit it? But this is just our opinion. Once it's in place and launched in June, then I think we can review it and see what the different missions and the German government decide. And just because there is no news about this currently doesn't mean there won't be a limitation in the future. But as it stands,
we couldn't find any proof of it.
Exactly.
Yet, at least. Yeah. Another question is, what residence permit will you get with the Chancenkarte?
The Chancenkarte itself is visa and residence permit in one. It is valid for 1 year, and during that 1 year, you do not need to see the Ausländerbehörde to change your visa into a residence permit. So it's all you need, pretty much, until you find your full-time job. Once you do find your full-time job, you do need to make an appointment with the Ausländerbehörde to change your Chancenkarte into a proper work permit, either a skilled workers permit or a blue card, depending on the requirements, or not the requirements, depending on the criteria of the job that you found.
Now, what are the differences between the Opportunity Card and the Job Seeker Visa in Germany? To give you a direct comparison, we have prepared this table where we talk about the differences between each type of visa.
Let's compare the minimum qualifications. The Opportunity Card, as we've discussed in this video, requires a professional qualification and minimum 2 years of work experience.
Versus the Job Seeker Visa, it requires a degree or vocational training recognized by Germany. Without that recognition, you cannot get the Job Seeker Visa.
When it comes to the required language levels, the Opportunity Card, you need a minimum A1 level in German or B2 level in English.
For the Job Seeker Visa, if you have a degree, there is no minimum language required. However, if you have vocational training, then you need a minimum of B1 German level.
Now here we have another big distinguishment in the visa duration. The Opportunity Card is valid for 1 year and the Job Seekers Visa is valid for 6 months. That of course immediately has impact on the funds that you need, because the duration at the end of the day defines how much money you need to have put aside to sustain your lifestyle. Meaning for the Opportunity Card in 2024, it is 11,208 euros, and for the Job Seekers Visa, it's 5,604 euros.
And one of the big differences is whether paid work is allowed or not. With the Opportunity Card is yes, you can work up to 20 hours per week. That is a part-time job or Teilzeit in German. Versus with the Job Seeker Visa, you can't. You do not have the ability or the possibility to find any job or get paid in Germany while you're searching for a job.
Now the whole point of the Chancenkarte is for you to find a full-time qualified job in Germany, and for that you need to have a proper application. We know that it's super important to have a CV or a resume that is adapted to the German standards for German companies to even consider you. If you'd like to know more about how your CV for the German market should look like, you can watch our video here on the left about the German CV format. Until next time,
Tschüss!
If you'd like to jump ahead or cross-check...
That is missing, ¿verdad?
Sí, mi amor.
According to the official German government...
Official German government?
The official German government.
Is it
Because there's
unofficial?
an unofficial one. According to the official German... No, I'm kidding.